This is the 2024 Hyundai Tucson. It's bigger than the Kona, it's smaller than the Santa Fe, and it's the most spacious Tucson to date. Now it's available as a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid, or in the format we're looking at today, which has the internal combustion engine operating solo. The Tucson was last redesigned for 2022. That's when it picked up this rather fractured styling. So you might expect that not a lot is new for 2024, but that would be wrong. There are some changes. For example, the sporty N-line trim is now hybrid only, taking advantage of the performance edge that electric power support can give it. So there are just 4 trims now. So we're going to talk about what's new for 2024, the model in general, what it's like to live with, and of course, the competition. Whatever you're shopping for, you can find it over at CarGurus.com along with data, deal ratings, and of course, reviews. Just please subscribe to this channel first. Since that 2022 redesign, the Tucson has followed Hyundai's sensuous sportiness design direction. Now, maybe I'm being old-fashioned or narrow-minded here. To me, this is a little bit too angular and choppy to qualify as sensuous. I could just about get on board with sporty, but I just feel like these strong creases, the super geometric lines, doesn't quite do it for me personally. That said, I do have to respect that Hyundai is willing to try things with this bold design. 17-inch wheels are standard on the base SE and the next up SEL trim. 19-inch wheels are standard on XRT and on this one, which is the top trim, limited. You can still get those 19-inch wheels on the SEL trim if you want to add the convenience package, but the gloss black pillars here, these are XRT and limited only. XRT is Hyundai's more rugged trim. We've seen that on several models across their lineup, but at least here it's really just an appearance package. There isn't much under the skin that's different for XRT, but if this were the Tucson XRT, we'd have side steps here, we'd have much more substantial and heavy-duty looking side cladding, we'd have black side mirrors without the chrome strip. The black roof rails, those are standard on SEL and up, but only XRT gets the crossbars. Around the back, we have these super triangular taillights, winged or maybe you could say clawed. We've got the logo kind of shunted up into the glass here to allow for a single uninterrupted light bar across the back. Now, LED headlights, turn signals, and DRLs are standard. LED taillights are for the top 2 trims only or optional with the convenience package. Inside, you'll notice we have this lovely panoramic moonroof. That is a top trim exclusive. You can get a smaller moonroof on the SEL trim with the convenience package, but it's not available at all on XRT, presumably because the roof crossbars would get in the way. What you do get on XRT is the leather-wrapped shift knob. We obviously don't have that here because we have the push-button gear selector. And personally, I tend to prefer the lever style. I might just be a little bit old-fashioned. Interested to hear your preferences in the comments, but I also really like things like leather seating surfaces and driver's seat memory, so I might lean toward the top trim anyway. That's also going to get you things like ventilated front seats and heated rear seats, which feels like a real luxury. But on all but the base trim, you're going to get those heated front seats. You'll get 8-way power adjustable driver's seat with power lumbar. Let me show you the lumbar. It's kind of funny. It only goes in and out, not up and down, and it'll literally push you out of the seat. In other news for 2024, the ambient interior lighting that you get on the SEL convenience package is up from 10 colors to 64, and you no longer need the convenience package to get dual zone climate control on the SEL trim. The hands-free smart liftgate is standard on all but the base trim. When you open this up, it looks very spacious, and it is comparatively. We've got 38.7 cubic feet of cargo space back here, 74.8 with the rear seats folded. That's a bit less space than the Honda CR-V offers, but it's more than you get in the Ford Escape, the Nissan Rogue, or the Toyota RAV4, and this has the most second row legroom out of that whole bunch, in part because the space between the first and second row is more evenly split in this than it is in those competitors. Every 2024 Tucson trim has the same engine. It's a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder, making 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque. The Tucson Hybrid has a 1.6-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder supported by electric motors for a total of 226 horsepower, and the plug-in hybrid gets 261 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. The latter two get standard all-wheel drive, but front-wheel drive is standard on the gas-powered Tucson every trim. It's available for an extra cost of $1,500, even on the XRT. So like I said, not that much in the way of rugged components under the skin. One thing that it does get is a standard tow hitch. That's an available accessory for all the other trims. The gas-only Tucson comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission, which can be a little clunky, and the gear ratio feels a little different from what I would expect. Third gear is noticeably longer than first and second, so in a typical accelerating situation, you're gonna get first, second, third, fourth, fifth, which can feel a little bit odd. The steering is light and quick, which is not necessarily what I expect or want in a vehicle this size, especially when I'm sitting up this high. So theoretically, if it's going to be light, you'd also want it to be slower to sort of balance that out, which is not here. And the brakes are pretty springy. They push you back a little bit, but they get grabby partway through the pedal travel, so that makes it a little bit hard to be smooth with your inputs. Handling is good, throttle is good, ride quality, really good. It gives you kind of a quasi-luxury experience, pretty comfortable. The Tucson is nice and quiet on the highway, so while you might hear some wind noise, you're not hearing much from the engine, certainly not as much as you would hear from the RAV4, which is on the noisier side. So it's a very nice, comfortable, quiet cruiser. The shifts in the braking might make it a little bit annoying around town, at least that's what I found, but if you're not sensitive about that kind of thing, it might not bug you, and if this is your daily, you might very well just get used to it. This 10.25-inch touchscreen comes with voice recognition and nav. It's still standard on XRT and limited trims, but it's also now available on the SEL trim with the convenience package. The standard infotainment system has an 8-inch touchscreen. That comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but the trade-off for going bigger with that screen is that you get wired versions of those smartphone projections. This is pretty typical of Hyundai, but we did learn on the Kona Drive program that that's going to be remedied for that model via over-the-air updates, maybe as soon as later this year. So pure speculation at this point, but there might be hope for the Tucson as well. Now, Sirius XM comes on all but the base trim. Same is true of wireless charging. That's standard starting with SEL. And then the 4.2-inch gauge cluster that's standard gets replaced with a 10.25-inch digital gauge cluster with convenience package and up. The top trim gets a Bose premium audio system, and it's the only one. Otherwise, you're getting 6 speakers. In safety news, the seatbelt reminder now applies to all seating positions, not just the driver's, which is a possibly annoying but obviously very much worthwhile update. They've made rear side airbags standard, they've updated the rear seat belts, and they've added haptic steering wheel feedback to the blind spot collision avoidance and lane keeping assist functions. Adaptive cruise control is standard, and it becomes nav-based on the top 2 trims, meaning it can account for things like curves that are upcoming in the road, not just your distance to the vehicle in front of you. I found that both the adaptive cruise control and the lane keeping assist worked well. The Tucson comes with a pretty generous suite of standard driver assistance features. Top trim exclusives include the blind spot view monitor that gives you the camera view when you put the turn signal on, the surround view monitor, and highway driving assist. Highway driving assist is Hyundai's level 2 semi-autonomous driving system. It's far from truly autonomous, which is true of every system on the market today. It does still require driver attention and driver intervention at times, but it's meant to take some of the load off of the driver's shoulders on the highway. The gas-only 2024 Hyundai Tucson starts at $27,250 before destination. Now, out of all the vehicles I've mentioned today, so including the Rogue, the RAV4, the Escape, and the CR-V, this has the lowest base MSRP. Of course, the trim that we've looked at today, limited, this starts at $36,510, a little bit higher. All trims are rated for 28 miles per gallon combined with front-wheel drive, 25 miles per gallon combined with all-wheel drive, and for comparison's sake, it's worth noting that the Hyundai Tucson Hybrid starts at $32,325 and gets up to 38 miles per gallon. The Tucson Hybrid plug-in starts at $38,475 and gets up to 35 miles per gallon with an all-electric range of up to 33 miles. And again, both of those hybrids have standard all-wheel drive, so if that's important to you, it may be worth the extra price of the hybrid for the fuel economy. The Tucson has long been considered a strong value in this segment, and that feels pretty well deserved. It's chock full of safety features, it's pretty darn spacious, and it's delivering a near luxury experience at a very much sub-luxury price point. I guess the only question is this right for you, or could you do better? And that's a question that I can't conclusively answer because your personal preferences and needs are going to factor into it. But I can point you in the right direction to gather all of the information you need to make that decision. We've got full video reviews up of the hybrid and plug-in hybrid versions of this, as well as every competitor that I've mentioned today. And of course, over at CarGurus.com, we've got tons of information, both objective and subjective, to help you make your decision. Once you've decided and you're ready to start your search for the one, use our listings. They're searchable and they're complete with deal ratings, but please first subscribe to this channel so you don't miss our next one.